Welcome to this week's edition of Drew Mann's Sports Take, featuring your host, Drew Peterson. This show features opinions and news regarding pro sports and college sports. And it starts now. This first episode will feature a preview over my March Madness bracket predictions as we reach one more month until it begins. Predictions include number 1 to number 4 seeds, who's in, and who's out. Welcome to the first episode of Drew Mann Sports Take featuring Drew Peterson. It's now time to reveal my bracketology predictions as we have one more month until it's the greatest time of the month, March Madness. There has been a lot of upsets throughout the season from day one to the season to now, but now let's get started with the first one seeds in the tourney. Let's start off with the first number 1 seed. You got the Baylor Bears. Currently the one-ranked team in the nation right now, sitting at 22-1 overall and 10-0 in Big 12 play, and having currently won 21 straight games with their last loss coming against Washington 3 months ago. They have shown to be one of the most dominant teams out there. Starting the season as a 15th-ranked team to where they are now, I think that this team has the best defense in the nation, currently giving up under 60 points a game. They have all that talent all around offensively and defensively to make a big tournament run. I think that this team is no joke when it comes to winning. My second number 1 seed, I got the San Diego State Aztecs. Well, San Diego State, they have 0 ranked wins right now, but they are currently sitting at 25-0 with 4 games remaining on their schedule. You start off with Malachi Flynn, who transferred from Washington State prior to this year and was eligible immediately. He has really stepped it up offensively, leading this team in points, assists, and steals. The last time a team went undefeated in the regular season, you go back to the 2014-15 regular season, when Kentucky won all of their games before losing in the Final Four. I do not think that this team will get far in the tournament, as their best win has come against the Creighton team, who has bounced in and out of the rankings. But I think that the Aztecs will be undefeated before the tourney and get that 1 seed. They got a really good team. My third number 1 seed, I got the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Right now, Gonzaga is 25-1 overall, with their only loss coming against Michigan in the battle for Atlanta's tournament. It's obvious that they have the best offense in the nation right now. They currently have 8 players who average over double digits, which includes their whole starting lineup. They are also led by Filip Petrosview, a sophomore from Serbia who has really been dominant this year. I'm not so sure if there will be a team that can stop this red-hot shooting Bulldogs offense as the season goes on. Right now, they could very well be a team that gets far as their 2017 Final Four team did. Coach Mark Few has had a lot of success getting Gonzaga far during his years in Spokane, and he will do it again here with the Zags being a 1 seed. My last number 1 seed, this was a tough pick, but I got the Kansas Jayhawks. The Jayhawks have overcome a lot of controversies throughout the year. This includes regarding the NCAA violation allegations that was brought to them coming into the year, and the brawl that broke out in the Kansas State game, which led to lots of suspensions. But that will not stop them from getting the 1 seed in the tourney. And just a year after they took a complete step back. The size that they have with Udoka Azubuike and David McCormick, it's going to get them far in the tournament. As long as the Jayhawks can avoid any crazy upsets the rest of the year in the regular season or in the Big 12 tournament, I think that this team will be a 1 seed in the tourney. Now let's go to my number 2 seeds. As my first number 2 seed, I got the Duke Blue Devils. The Blue Devils have a solid starting 5 led by Trey Jones and Vernon Carey. They have a much better shooting team than they did last year. They also play very tough and physical defense, and they rebound the ball very, very well. Their toughest remaining opponent will be against Virginia, the defending national champions, who are not ranked right now. But still, though, it will be in Charlottesville. I think that if the Blue Devils win, and if no other upsets happen, like the Clemson game last month, then they will get a higher seed. Despite beating Kansas, who I have as my 1 seed in the season opener, I think that the Duke loss to Clemson is going to cost them, and I got them as my number 2 seed right now. So as long as they avoid any upsets the rest of the way, then they could possibly get that 1 seed, but we'll see what happens once the season ends. My second number 2 seed, I got the Auburn Tigers. This is a very tough pick for me between Maryland and Auburn, but with Auburn's size that they have, and with their 2 big wins against Kentucky and LSU at home within the past few weeks, they are my number 2 team. They still have one more big game to get through, though, which is at Kentucky on February 29th. This Auburn team may not be good as their Final Four team was last year, but I think they'll still get themselves a number 2 seed. My third number 2 seed, I got the Louisville Cardinals. Coming into the season, I expected Louisville to be one of those teams that could compete for a championship. They have done just that as they currently lead the ACC in the standings right now. Coach Chris Mack is starting to pick up right where Rick Pitino left off. Jordan Norwa has also proven to be a dominant player all around, averaging 19 points and 7 rebounds a game. Louisville also has those players who can step it up in the big moments when needed as well. They have 2 more crucial games incoming as they go to Tallahassee and Charlottesville. Last season, Louisville did not go far in the tourney, going 1 and done and losing to Minnesota. But I think they will go much further this year with the team that they have, and that's why I have them as my 2 seed. My last 2 seed is the Dayton Flyers. Man, this might be the best Dayton team that we have seen in their school history. They have a dominant offense that is led by Obi Toppin, who averages almost 20 points and 8 rebounds a game. Like San Diego State, though, Dayton has not been able to beat any ranked teams, even though they took Kansas to overtime during the Maui Invitational title. I think Dayton will have to avoid a crazy upset in conference play in order for them to maintain their 2 seed, which is where I have them now. They do not have an easy schedule for the rest of the way, or actually they do, but we'll see if they can avoid an upset. That'll be it for my number 2 seeds. Let's go off to my number 3 seeds right now. My first number 3 seed, I got the Maryland Terrapins. This Maryland team might be the best Big Ten team right now. Like I said, though, this was a tough pick, but the reason I have Maryland at number 3 is because they've had their struggles in terms of shooting, as they only shoot 41% from the field this season. However, though, the duo of Anthony Cowan Jr. and Jalen Smith makes this Maryland team the best team in the Big Ten right now. Look for this team to make a run, though, when the tournament comes and goes. My second number 3 team I got is Seton Hall. This Seton Hall team got off to an awful start, going 8-4 and losing Miles Powell to injuries at games. And he had been injured a lot this year. But now this team has shown to be that they're the best team in the Big East right now. I think that their non-conference play, going 8-4 there, I don't think that it will have an effect, as this team will stay at number 3. The Pirates have not gotten far in the tourney since the late 1980s when they had P.J. Carlusimo as their coach, but now they have the team to do so now. My third number 3 seed I got is the Kentucky Wildcats. There have been a lot of ups and downs for Kentucky this season. They have had a lot of strange losses this season, coming against Evansville, Utah, and at South Carolina. That could come back to haunting them when the teams get seeded. The ups, however, is that they currently sit at number 1 in the SEC standings. Their match against Auburn at home, which is on February 29th. It'll come down to not only who gets the higher seed in the SEC, but also in the NCAA tournament. So we'll see who wins that game. My last number 3 seed is the Florida State Seminoles. In a very tough ACC conference play, Florida State has enjoyed a tremendous season that they have had under head coach Leonard Hamilton. Forget their ugly season opening loss at Pittsburgh. Florida State, they have that experience, though, that could possibly lead them to getting far in the tournament. Their front court is filled with the top 3 scorers on the team, Devin Vassell, Trent Forrest, and MJ Walker. And this could make a team to watch out for when the tournament comes. Now on to my number 4 seeds. Let's start off with my first 4 seed. That is the West Virginia Mountaineers. It is very obvious to know that this West Virginia team has taken a step forward after having a down year this past year, which, not to mention, they actually had a good ending to the year when they got far in the Big 12 tournament play. But looking at the bottom, though, losing to lowly teams like Kansas State and St. John's, it certainly does not help their chances on getting them a seed higher than number 4, but it is obvious that they are in the right direction right now. Their physical defense and their size that they have on their team is the reason that they have had success this year. My second number 4 team I got is the Colorado Buffaloes. Colorado has had themselves a heck of a year so far, sitting at first place in the Pac-12. Tyler Bay from the Buffaloes has led this team very well this year, as he averages 13 points and 9 rebounds as a guard. Yep, you heard me. A guard. That's not the type of numbers that any guard can put up. If the Buffaloes can win out the rest of the regular season, which I think they can, as long as if they beat Oregon on the road, which is very tough to win at Matthew Knight Arena, you can count them in as their 4 seed in the tourney. My third number 4 team who I got is the Villanova Wildcats. Villanova has been one of those teams who have had plenty of downs in the season despite being a tourney team. Their 3-game losing streak certainly does not do them a favor. Just like last year, Villanova was ranked lower because of the costly losses that they had, the ones coming to Furman and Penn. But their losing streak that they had could be the case that time as well. One positive, though, for Villanova, however, is that they have a dominant starting 5. And they have all those players who can really score the basketball well. My last number 4 team who I got is the Penn State Nittany Lions. The last time Penn State made to the tournament, you would go back to 2011. I was only a 6th grader in middle school. But now, 9 years later, here they are back in the tourney talk again. With teams like Ohio State and Michigan State struggling, this Penn State team has continued to show that they are no joke. Lamar Stevens has also shown that he is one of the best players in the Big Ten right now, as he currently averages 17 points a game right now. Penn State still has a few tough games remaining, but with their big win that they recently had at Michigan State, they should be a lock right now for the 4 seed. Let's take a look now at the 6 teams who are in as a bubble team. My first bubble team I got is the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford has had some bad losses against Cal and Oregon State. The win, though, that they got at home against Oregon in the first day of February, I think that's a huge win for them. The Pac-12, it's obvious that they have not been good in basketball, as there are only 4 teams who are my tourney team picks, including Stanford. The Stanford Cardinal, though, will still have a chance to play Colorado at home and travel to Eugene to play Oregon in the season finale. So if they can get at least one more win, then that should get them in. My second team is the Virginia Cavaliers. It's very obvious to know that the defending champions have taken a bit of a step back this year. I know I did expect them to do so with them losing Ty Jerome and Kyle Guide this past year, but I didn't think that I would expect this team to be in the race for a bubble team. While they were able to beat Florida State at home, their loss at a 12-12 Boston College team, it certainly circulates questions if they should be a tournament team. They still have to play against two of the best in the ACC, Duke and Louisville, which both of those are at home. So we will see if they can get at least one of those two at home. My third team that I got is the Florida Gators. There is always that one team every single year that makes it to the tournament despite having that many losses under schedule. Florida is most certainly one of them. Yes, their bad loss at a Missouri team who is 10-13 now hurts them, but with their win against a 2-loss Auburn team at home by a 22-pointer, that was huge. The strength of schedule is very solid as well. They have a season series to play against Kentucky and a home game against LSU. You cannot afford another loss to a bad or an average team if you're the Gators. My fourth bubble team who I got is the Xavier Musketeers. Beginning the season, Xavier was ranked. Right now, they find themselves, though, as a bubble team. Xavier has struggled to get wins against teams with a higher strength of schedule until getting the job done at 10-ranked Seton Hall. They'll have to play a crucial game, though, against Villanova and Butler at home still. I think that Xavier is tough at home, and if they win at least one of those two, that'll get them in the tournament. My fifth bubble team who I got is the Indiana Hoosiers. I do not think that Indiana's losing streak will have an effect on them because of the amount of quality wins that they have. Beating Michigan State, beating Ohio State, and beating Florida State, it certainly helps their case. My last bubble team who I got is the Memphis Tigers. This was a very tough choice for me, but I picked Memphis over Wichita State because of their strength of schedule that plays an effect for those two teams. Memphis has that better schedule than Wichita State does. However, Memphis cannot lose another bad game like they did to South Florida at home if they want to make it to the tournament, though. Now let's look at the bubble teams who I have out of my tournament picks. Let's start off with the Wichita State Shockers. The Shockers started off their season going strong, 15-1, but that best win came against a Memphis team who is in the bubble watch right now, and they did not have a good conference schedule at all. And it's very obvious to know that they have been on a slump this past month, going 2 of their last 5 and 7 games. 2-5 in the last 7 games, I should say. If that slump keeps happening, though, then I think their tournament hopes will go bye-bye. My second team who I have out is the Cincinnati Bearcats. Currently, Cincinnati sits at their second place in the American Conference right now as they manage to beat Houston at home. But with the amount of bad losses that they have, losing at Tulane and at UConn, I don't think that it helps their case. But we'll see how they finish the season, though. My third team who's out is the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Some people are wondering why in the world is Minnesota in the talks as a possible tournament team right now with a 12-11 record. But beating Ohio State twice and Michigan once has been the reason. They have a crucial game incoming against Maryland at their place. We'll see if they can win that to keep their tournament hopes alive. My next team who I have out is the Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, who were one and done in the tournament last year, they have a shot for a tournament bid, but many things do not come easy for them. The good news is that they do not have a bad loss, but the bad news is they don't have a quality win, though. With not playing a single ranked team for the rest of the year, I think that it will probably lead to another NIT tournament bid for Ben Howland and his Bulldog squad. My next team who I have out is the Arizona State Sun Devils. Although the Sun Devils have proceeded to beat their rival Arizona at home, which I think is a quality win, their bad loss that they had at Wichita State was not Wichita State, Washington State was not a good sign for their team. Also, losing by 40 against St. Mary's isn't very good as well. The Sun Devils will still have to play Oregon at home on their schedule. A loss in that game will pretty much end their talks on being a tournament team, because then they have no other good games scheduled on their schedule. The last team to mention about who I have out, it's the NC State Wolfpack. Like last year, NC State failed to reach the tournament because of their weak non-conference schedule that they have, and they did not have a single quality win. That's pretty much the same story this year. Not only do they not have a quality win right now, but they have had a lot of bad losses. Losing to Clemson, Georgia Tech twice, and a North Carolina team who has a losing record right now. That's not very good for a tournament resume, but just want to thank everyone who listened in to my podcast. Hope everyone liked my predictions. Just one more month until we get to the tournament season, so it could be a good ending to the season. This is Drew Peterson on Drew Man Sports Take. Have a good rest of your month, everybody. Thanks to all of those who are listening in on Drew Man Sports Take, featuring your host, Drew Peterson on mavradio.fm. Peace.